Hello. So I am first going to apologize because I've been sick and so my voice probably sounds a little rough, and I'm going to try not to cough or anything during this presentation. But I want to talk today about building lifelong habits, because with my approach, right, what my belief is anyway is that, it's more about what you do consistently. It's more about the actions that you take that you don't really have to think about and force yourself to do. If you're trying to move in a healthier direction, we want to focus on those actions. And so building lifelong habits that will lead to a healthier life, that will lead to you achieving your weight loss goal, that is really what I want to help you do. And so today, I've been listening a lot to this Stanford professor. His name is Dr. BJ Fogg, and he has a book called Tiny Habits. So if you want to check that out, there's a lot of really great insight. But I kind of want to take all of that knowledge and get it into something a little bit more digestible so that we can figure out how to use this information to move you forward with the goals that you have. So there are 4 major components to building a lifelong habit. And maybe first let's define, what is a habit? And the simplest answer is, a habit is something that you do regularly without having to think about it. And there's all sorts of them that we can kind of point to, but that's ultimately what a habit is. It's something that you do without really having to think about it consciously, okay? So 4 components, and we're gonna touch on all of them for sure, and then a few of them I want to go a little bit deeper in. So I got my little board here. We got 4 things. I want to start this by doing a little bit of a thought experiment. And so I got this from Dr. Fogg as well. It's just a really great illustration of these different components, and so we're going to use it. So think about your phone rings and you don't answer it. So think about the reasons. Why would you not answer your phone if your phone rang? Okay? And I want you to come up with like 3 or 4 different responses, reasons that you might not answer if the phone was ringing. I see there's one person watching. I don't know who that is, but if you have something, go ahead and type it in. I'm going to give you just a second, and then I'll move forward. So, okay. So you probably thought of a few things anyway. So, tell me if one of the things that you thought of was something like, I'm at work right now, or I can't answer my phone because I'm in the middle of a meeting, or because I'm in the shower. Okay, was it something like that? Or is it something like, it's an unknown number, or I don't want to talk to whoever is calling me, right? So if it was something like the first one, then what we're really talking about is your ability to answer the phone. Do you know how to answer the phone? You have the knowledge. And are you able to pick it up? Okay? And if it was something along the lines of the second one, right? Maybe it was somebody you just don't want to talk to right now. Then what we're talking about is motivation. Okay? Are you motivated to answer the phone call? So these are the first 2 major components, and I want to talk about ability for a second, because one of the reasons that, excuse me, I'm going to try not to cough. One of the reasons that Dr. Fogg and I choose small and tiny habits, that we start with small steps, is because as you have success with those smaller steps and as you build confidence in it, you increase your ability, right? Your ability goes up. And you've seen this in action, because you can think of just about anything that you have learned. Think about learning to drive the car, okay? So when you learn to drive the car, excuse me, I said I was going to try and not cough, but no promises. So when you start learning to drive the car, do you start by getting on the highway in rush hour? If you did, that'd be really scary, because even though you might be motivated to do that, your ability is low, okay? But as you keep driving, your ability is going to increase. And in fact, now all of the things that you used to have to think about when you got in the car, put your seatbelt on, blinkers, all of those things, they used to take conscious thought and conscious effort, are effortless, right? They're a habit. They're part of your habit of driving. You don't have to think about all of them and break all of them down. So as you take small steps, your ability goes up. Okay, motivation is a complex one, and I want to talk about it a little bit more in depth. So we're going to move on to the trigger. So every habit that you have has a trigger. In the cell phone call, exercise, it's your phone ringing, okay? But also think about like when you walk into a dark room, you flip on the light switch. You don't have to think about that, right? You walk into a dark room, you flip it on. When I see my water bottle on the table, then I take a drink. When I take a shower, after I get out of the shower, then I usually will stretch for a few minutes, okay? So if you want to add a lifelong habit, then we want to find a trigger for it that is going to make sense for you. So it looks kind of like this, or it sounds kind of like this. You'd answer this question. Let's pretend that you want to meditate for 3 minutes a day. That's your goal. We're keeping it small, right? Small, little baby steps. So your goal is you want to meditate for 3 minutes a day. So you want to identify a trigger, and you do that by answering this, fill in this blank, okay? When I blank, then I will meditate for 3 minutes. So you're creating your trigger here. When I blank. So you could say, when I wake up, then I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes. When I finish breakfast, then I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes. When I finish showering, then I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes. And the best trigger is something that you already do consistently without having to think about it. Something that is already a habit for you. So every day I know I'm going to shower. Every day I know that I'm going to eat breakfast at some point, right? It's not consistent for me, but I know I'm going to eat breakfast. So I know that if I say, when I finish breakfast, then I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes, that is something that can be a meaningful trigger for me. Now, as you're kind of exploring this, you might find that something doesn't work for you, and that's okay. You might have to figure out a few different places for you to put this action or this habit that you want to incorporate, right? So think about that a little bit. Where would be a good trigger for whatever good habit you'd like to incorporate, right? Keep it really, really small. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to cover about a trigger. There's one thing I kind of haven't I haven't mentioned yet, and BJ doesn't use it in his main model as one of the 3 different components, but it is really important in his work. And so what it is celebration. And I really love this part because it's something I talk about a lot, I think, in this group is, when you start with tiny things, okay, and you're successful doing it. So if my goal is to meditate for 3 minutes a day and I am successful doing that, then I gotta give myself a high five, right? Because the way BJ puts it is emotion is what creates the habits. It's not the repetition, it's the emotion. How does it make you feel? Is it something that you want to continue doing? Okay, so if I meditate, well, that always makes me feel good, but if my goal was to drink a glass of water or whatever every day before dinner or when I finish dinner, if when I do that goal, I don't consciously say, oh, man, I did that, and feel good about it, that I'm missing an opportunity to build really positive emotion around this habit. And then it's way more likely that I'm going to continue to do it. So I call it a superpower. I say it's a celebration superpower because if you can learn to feel proud, I've kind of said it before, if you want to feel motivated, you got to feel proud first. And I think we set such lofty goals for ourselves sometimes that we don't have an opportunity to feel proud of ourselves and to feel, feel like you've succeeded, right? And so this little celebration really being proud of yourself for the little things that you do because these are the things that are going to add up. And there's a compounding effect for all of these tiny habits that he talks about, that if you can incorporate the small moment, right? If you can figure out how to build a lifelong habit of 3 minutes of meditation a day, then the likelihood of you maybe doing more some days is pretty high, right? You don't have to do more. You get to celebrate more if you do more, but it's a much higher likelihood that that's going to stay a part of your life than if you don't include all of these things. Okay, so ability. Do you know how? Do you have the knowledge you need? Are you physically able to do it? Motivation, which we're going to talk about motivation waves, because this is something that isn't always static, and we may or may not want to manipulate, right? The trigger, okay? What is going to prompt you to take this action? And then the celebration. Be proud of yourself after you do the little things. The little things add up. Think about toothbrushing. You brush your teeth for 2 minutes a day, right? 4 minutes a day, maybe. But how much does that add up over time, right? So that's it for today, you guys. I'm going to end it before things get rough. So I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you real soon. Bye.